Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. The big stories that we're tracking for you this evening. 3 new criminal laws that were passed by Parliament last year come into force. Legal experts flag several grey areas, call for a hold and highlight the need for wider consultations. Home Minister Amit Shah defends the law, says they were passed by Parliament after 30 hours of discussion. India's manufacturing activity picks up pace in June. The HSBC Purchasing Managers Index points to the fastest rate of hiring in 19 years, despite inflationary pressures. But auto sales in the month of June throw up a mixed bag. Stock markets regain Friday's losses. The sensex gains over 400 points, nifty up over 130. Mid-cap index hitting a record high. Shares of Wipro rally after a double upgrade from CLSA, citing stabilization in discretionary demand. All IT stocks are up on account of seasonal strength and a ramp-up in large deals. Ola Electric is working on the observations made by SEBI to its IPO application, says founder and CEO Bhavish Agarwal. Adds the company will definitely look at an IPO in 2024, but the exact timeline will depend on the process. That's an exclusive. Fireworks in Parliament as Rahul Gandhi targets the government and Prime Minister Modi in his first speech as leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha. US authorities are planning to ask Boeing to plead guilty to fraud implicating the company for 2 fatal plane crashes which killed 346 people 5 years ago. This wipes out a more lenient plea agreement with the company received 3 years ago. The far-right National Rally Party in France wins the first round of the snap parliamentary elections. Left-wing coalition emerges second and President Macron's centrist party stands third. Both the left-wing and centrists call for tactical voting in the second round to keep the far-right out of power. Rishi Sunak and the ruling Conservative Party is staring at a heavy defeat as per polls as Britain gears up to vote this Thursday. Labour, led by Keir Starmer, is projected to win a thumping majority. Also on the show, as the price of tomatoes touch 100 rupees a kilo in parts of Maharashtra, ground report on how crop damage led to the spike in prices and its impact on farmers. As always, straight to the market action. Positive start to the week and a positive start to the month of July as stocks regained most of Friday's losses. So the sensex gained over 400 points. The nifty added about 130 points today. The nifty mid-cap up 1%, that's 555 points. And the nifty bank also about 0.5% higher today. In fact, it was the mid-cap index which closed at a new record high. But on to our daily monsoon tracker. The Met Department has confirmed that the month of June has seen below normal rainfall. In fact, the rainfall deficit stands at 11%. That's the highest that we've seen in the last 5 years. However, the weather forecaster is hopeful of an above-average rainfall in July, which could bridge the deficit. Now, after an early onset in Kerala, the progress of the southwest monsoon has been slow and is yet to cover all parts of the country. India's manufacturing activity picking up pace in June. The HSBC Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index stood at 58.3 in June. That is compared to 57.5 in May. Now, a reading above 50 indicates expansion in activity. Strong demand led to the fastest rate of hiring in 19 years despite inflationary pressures, as per the HSBC Purchasing Managers Survey. Auto sales in the month of June have thrown up a mixed bag. Historically, car sales are subdued in June as the monsoons trickle in. However, Maruti and M&M have seen double-digit growth in sales, while Escorts posted weak tractor sales. Sonia standing by to wrap up the month that was for auto. Sonia.
Well, thanks a lot for that. So, it's been a mixed bag for the auto sector this time. So, we're getting a lot of the numbers thick and fast. Let me take you through some of them. For Bajaj Auto, actually, the sales growth was better than what the muted expectations were. So, we saw barely a 5% growth for Bajaj Auto. And this was because the two-wheeler exports continue to see pressure because pockets like Nigeria, Egypt, etc. continue to struggle a little bit with growth. So, domestic sales were up 8%, but export sales were up only 1%. Moving on to Escorts Kubota, the weakness continues in the month of June. Company says that a delayed pickup in the retail season impacted sales this time. And the June total sales are down 2.6% on a year-on-year basis. Let's move to M&M, which was a mixed bag this time. Auto sales saw double-digit growth, 11%. SUV sales were strong with a growth of 23%, while tractors continue to be in single digits, up just about 6%. The company says that retail momentum has definitely picked up, supported by land preparation and an increase in Kharif crop sowing. Maruti has also come out with their numbers. Now, there the auto sales are looking strong and they are higher than what the street was estimating. Total sales growth of 12.5% year-on-year for Maruti, coming in at 1.79 lakh units. Now, this is because of a strong jump in export sales for Maruti. So, if you look at it, exports are up 57% year-on-year, coming in at 31,033 units. Domestic sales are largely quiet, but it's a pickup in exports which the street will definitely like. And finally, you also have Ashok Leyland, where the total sales are down about 2% Medium and heavy commercial vehicle sales are down 4%. LCV sales are up just about 3%. So commercial vehicles are slightly on in the slow lane right now, but passenger vehicles like Maruti doing very well. Back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Sonia. Now, shares of IT major Wipro up in trade after global brokerage firm CLSA double upgraded the stock. The brokerage firm has said that the company has moved to outperform from underperform, and has also increased its price target from 431 rupees a share to 607 rupees a share. The upgrade comes after Wipro announced a $500 million deal this quarter. CLSA also believes Wipro could announce a buyback. It's not just Wipro, the entire IT pack up and about, as major brokerages expect the sector to see higher growth in the first quarter, which is seasonally stronger. There's also the expectation of more large deals and a stabilization in discretionary spending. Now, the 3 new criminal laws that were passed in Parliament last December have come into effect today, that is the 1st of July. Now, while the laws promise to overhaul India's dated criminal justice framework, legal experts have raised concerns on clauses. The opposition has alleged that the new laws will lead to 2 parallel justice systems in India. Home Minister Amit Shah has rejected the criticism, saying that adequate consultation took place before the laws were enacted. Take a look.
पहली बार मॉब लिंचिंग को परिभाषित किया गया है। राजद्रोह को हमने जड़ से समाप्त कर दिया है और देश विरोधी हरकतों के लिए नई धारा लेकर आए हैं। अब भारत की एकता और अखंडता को क्षतिग्रस्त करने के लिए ये कानून अमल में आएगा।
The laws are extremely pernicious in nature, and they will be draconian in their implementation. These laws have been passed behind the back of Parliament by suspending 146 MPs from both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. They do not reflect the collective wisdom of the House. Even the informed dissent of the Standing Committee or members of the Standing Committee or the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Home Affairs was not taken on board. This is going to create 2 parallel criminal justice systems.
So that's the reaction of the opposition. Let's take a look at some of the contentious provisions that the legal fraternity has flagged. Ashmit is standing by now to take us through the potential red flags and some of the grey areas. Ashmit.
India today bids farewell to the Indian Penal Code-based criminal law framework. Today, the 3 new criminal laws, as ratified by the Parliament, take effect. This marks a complete overhaul, which in turn has inspired some concerns by members of the legal fraternity. Various bar associations, bar councils have threatened agitation against what they call our draconian laws. Some have even called for putting the implementation on hold. So what are these concerns? Number 1, the earlier regime provided for police custody up to 15 days. The language of the new law has given fears that this could be extended to 60 to 90 days. Number 2, the new laws have vastly increased the powers of attachment without the protections and safeguards as provided under the PMLA. Number 3, sedition has been done away with, but it has been replaced with treason. The language is eerily similar, the punishment even greater. Number 4, the new laws punish not only acts of terror, but also the likelihood of committing terror. Number 5, adultery has been removed, but the BNS provides for a 2-year jail term for whoever takes or entices another man's wife. And all of this does not even take into account the larger issue of institutional preparedness. Are the thousands of magistrates, lawyers and police personnel down to the SHO, SP, SI level geared for this transition that's coming their way for the criminal law framework in India?
Penal code or whatever they have framed will be a lawyer's delight. Nagarik Suraksha will also have to balance Nagarik Adhikar. What about the Adhikar or the rights of the citizens? Where is the discussion, deliberation? Where is the white paper on what is our judicial, the criminal justice system?
90% of the law remains the same. And I'm sure we will learn along the way. I don't see any radical changes in the law from the past regime. I don't see any difficulty in this transition, so-called transition. It's a very minor transition, and we will all learn along the way.
Say wider deliberation, wait for another 6 months. The absorption of technology by the police is very important. Similarly, Bar Council's directive to those lawyers who keep on extending hearings again and again. So it's very important now to have a wider deliberation.
Well, reactions coming in. Now, the new criminal laws also introduce new concept and usher in new chapters on several offences. For example, mob lynching is a new provision under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. The Act classifies murder or grievous hurt by 5 or more people on specified grounds as an offence. Now, these grounds include race, caste or community, language, personal belief, among others. It is punishable with death or with imprisonment for life. Economic offences have been given a new definition. They include forgery, counterfeiting, mass marketing, fraud, digital scams and more. Much debated is the introduction of a section which focuses on the criminalization of sexual intercourse via deceitful means. Now, the section applies to men who induce women by making false promises with no intention to fulfill them, and those have been red flagged by many. The big political story, fireworks in Parliament as Rahul Gandhi targeted the government and the Prime Minister in his first speech as leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha. There was pandemonium in the House with several ministers intervening during Gandhi's speech, including the Prime Minister, who intervened twice. The opposition leaders, of course, also tried to shout back down. Here are the highlights.
शिव जी कहते हैं डरो मत, डराओ मत, अभय मुद्रा दिखाते हैं, अहिंसा की बात करते हैं, त्रिशूल को जमीन में गाड़ देते हैं, और जो लोग अपने आप को हिंदू कहते हैं वो 24 घंटा हिंसा हिंसा हिंसा, नफरत नफरत नफरत, असत्य सत्य असत्य। आप हिंदू हो ही नहीं।
ये विषय बहुत गंभीर है। पूरे हिंदू समाज को हिंसक कहना ये गंभीर विषय है।
बीजेपी को आपको नहीं 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 नहीं, नरेंद्र मोदी जी पूरा हिंदू समाज नहीं है, बीजेपी पूरा हिंदू समाज नहीं है, आरएसएस पूरा हिंदू समाज नहीं है।
हिंसा की भावना को किसी धर्म के साथ जोड़ना और इस सदन में और संवैधानिक पद पर बैठे हुए व्यक्ति ने, मैं मानता हूं मान्यवर, उन्होंने इसकी माफी मांगनी चाहिए।
सर, कहां तक इन लोगों ने डर फैला दिया। मैं आपको अयोध्या से शुरू करता हूं। सर नमस्कार। अयोध्या ने आपको मैसेज भेजा।
सारे नियम इनको लागू नहीं होते हैं। नियम मालूम नहीं है तो ट्यूशन रख ले साहब। सदन इस तरह से नहीं चल सकता है। ये सदन, मेरा आपसे आग्रह है कि ये सदन ऑर्डर में रहना चाहिए, नियमों के अनुसार रहना चाहिए। ये हम सभी सदस्यों का आपसे विनंती है।
आज सुबह में आया, राजनाथ सिंह जी ने मुस्कुरा के मुझे नमस्ते की, और मोदी जी बैठे हैं, मुस्कुराहट नहीं, सीरियस, नमस्ते भी नहीं करते। कहीं मोदी जी ना देख लें, प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी। वही कहानी गडकरी जी की है, सच्चाई है।
लोकतंत्र ने और संविधान ने मुझे सिखाया है कि मुझे विपक्ष के नेता को गंभीरता से लेना चाहिए।
सर आपने कहा कि डिबेट प्रेसिडेंट्स एड्रेस पे होनी चाहिए। ये जो मैंने किया है, अनुराग ठाकुर जी ने अयोध्या की बात की थी, अनुराग ठाकुर जी ने सनातन धर्म पर आक्रमण की बात की थी, इसीलिए मैंने ये किया है।
Proceedings in Parliament, and the Prime Minister is going to reply tomorrow. Delhi's Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has moved the High Court against his arrest by the CBI in the liquor excise policy case. A trial court had sent Kejriwal to judicial custody till the 12th of July. After CBI custody ended on Saturday, the CBI formally arrested Kejriwal in the matter on the 26th of June. Activist Medha Patkar has been sentenced to 5 months in jail in a 23-year-old defamation case filed against her by the now Delhi Lieutenant Governor Vinay Kumar Saxena. She will also have to pay 10 lakh rupees as compensation to Saxena. In 2000, Patkar had issued a press statement against Saxena after he published an ad against her and the Narmada Bachao Andolan. Back then, Saxena was the chief of the Ahmedabad-based NGO. Ola Electric will launch an IPO at the earliest this year, according to founder and CEO Bhavish Agarwal. Speaking to CNBC-TV18's Ritu Singh at the Ola Electric factory in Tamil Nadu, Agarwal also dismissed concerns over valuation, saying conversations with investors have been encouraging. Agarwal is upbeat that Ola Electric is on its path to profitability and sales will continue to grow with or without the government's FAME subsidy.
What we recently did here is SEBI's green flag for your Ola Electric IPO. Just give us a broad sense of the timelines that you're working with, because this is one big milestone that has been crossed off.
We can't talk about the specific timelines, Ritu, but we had filed our book in December, late December, and SEBI has given us the final observations, and we are working through them. There are still a few process loops to get through over the next few weeks or months. And as we get through them, we are quite keen that the markets get to see us as soon as we get through the processes.
Which would be this year? Would be
definitely this year, but exactly when, again, it depends on the process. If you see the FAME subsidies, they've already come down from, I think, 60,000 rupees a vehicle to 10,000 rupees a vehicle, thereabouts. And the industry has grown. So I think the industry is at a stage where pretty much it's not as dependent on the FAME subsidies, and the government has been very clear that they'll taper down FAME over the next few quarters or so, and we've been in line with that government direction, and we have been focused on building our own supply chain manufacturing technology strength.
Well, that's Ola Electric's Bhavish Agarwal. And staying with the startup IPOs, Brainbee Solution, the operator First Cry, has received the approval from the market regulator. The company, led by Super Maheshwari, will issue fresh equity shares worth 1,816 crores. Existing investors, that includes SoftBank, will sell up to 5.44 crore shares via the OFS in the public offer. Well, there seems that there is more trouble in store for EdTech company Byju's. We understand from sources that the Ministry of Corporate Affairs has asked the regional director to begin a detailed investigation. Timsy standing by now with more. Timsy, an inspection was already underway. What are you now picking up?
Well, as you rightly mentioned, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs seems to have now ordered a detailed investigation against Byju's. These are based on the results or the notings or the findings that the MCA has received on the initial inspection. According to sources, what we pick up is that the regional director has been asked to begin this sort of an exercise, a detailed investigation, on 21st of June. The orders were issued, and this investigation has to conclude in 3 months. The initial inspection was actually alleging Byju's of several financial irregularities and violations of the Companies Act. So let's see how this detailed investigation takes place. What is the communication that they are going to have with Byju's, whether they'll call the top company management to come and answer a few queries, or will it be a written communication? And yes, 3 months, a crucial period of time for the investigation to end before a report is submitted to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs.
All right, Timsy, appreciate you joining us. Up next on India Business Hour, Rishi Sunak and the ruling Conservative Party staring at a heavy defeat as Britain gears up to vote this Thursday. That and more when we return. You can catch all of CNBC-TV18's news and updates on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram and JioCinema. Beleaguered airplane manufacturer Boeing in trouble for two deadly plane crashes involving its 737 MAX plane that had killed 346 people in 2018 and 2019. The U.S. Justice Department is pushing Boeing to plead guilty to criminal fraud in connection with the crashes. Boeing will have to decide by the end of the week whether it will plead guilty to the charge and avoid trial. The proposed plea deal includes a penalty of over $480 million and an imposition of an independent monitor to audit the company's safety and compliance practices for 3 years. The Justice Department decided to charge Boeing after finding that it violated a 2021 agreement that had shielded it from prosecution. A guilty plea could also carry implications for Boeing's ability to enter into government contracts like those with the U.S. military. Meanwhile, in an effort to shore up its safety, repair and reputation, Boeing has decided to buy Spirit AeroSystems, that's one of the major suppliers and manufacturing partners, for $4.7 billion. Now, Spirit AeroSystems makes major parts of several Boeing models, including the fuselages for the 737 MAX. Remember, the door plug that blew off an Alaska Airways flight shortly after takeoff was also made by Spirit AeroSystems. Boeing said the acquisition will control quality and increase the safety of its planes. France's far right is closer than ever to forming a government for the first time since World War II. Marine Le Pen's National Rally and its allies have won over 33% votes in the first round of the parliamentary elections, ahead of the left coalition and President Macron's centrist bloc, which languished at the third spot. The runoff is scheduled for next Sunday. Going by the first round results, the National Rally, which is known for its anti-immigration stance, could emerge as the dominant bloc in the French parliament but fall short of the majority. The party wants to scrap nationality rights for children born and raised in France by foreign parents. Both left-wing and centrists have called for tactical voting in the second round to keep the far right out of power. And staying with elections, the UK votes for a new parliament on the 4th of July. Labour is looking to return to 10 Downing Street after a 14-year exile. Now, as per pre-poll trends, the Conservative Party is staring at a crushing defeat. The Liberal Democrats and Nigel Farage's Reforms Party are expected to eat into the Tory vote bank. My colleague Sanjay Suri brings us more on the battle for Westminster.
A contrary pattern is beginning to emerge through the campaigning in the British elections underway. Face-to-face with Labour leader Keir Starmer, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is coming across as the more forceful, even the more convincing candidate. We saw that in the first debate between the two leaders, and we saw that again in the last one just days before polling. There's just a glimpse that last round where the two leaders clashed over immigration, among the other usual issues.
And that is the choice for you. Do not surrender our borders to the Labour Party.
Steve, this is complete and utter nonsense.
On the numbers.
Why are record numbers still coming under your watch, Prime Minister? How on earth can you say it's working? You put the scheme in place. The flights could go off. I noticed you called the election, by the way, before any flights could actually get off, and it could be tested. An interesting timing. But if this was such a deterrent, why is it obviously not working?
So when Keir Starmer says he's going to return people, is he going to sit down? Are you going to sit down with the Iranian ayatollahs? Are you going to try and do a deal with the Taliban? It's completely nonsensical what you are saying, right? You are taking people for fools, right? I think that these people should not stay in our country. They will be on planes to Rwanda. That's what I will do with them. You still can't answer the question. What will you do with them?
All the tens of thousands?
All the illegal migrants who arrive will be processed and put on planes to Rwanda. And those savings we will use to cut your taxes. And what I want to do is cut taxes for people at every stage of their life.
But in the end, the debates may not count very much unless the polls are all wrong. If the polls are right, then too many people have already made up their minds against the Conservatives, debate or no debate. Returning to Parliament as Prime Minister is not impossible, but it won't be easy. And of course, Rishi Sunak knows that.
Well, that's the UK, but back home, tomato prices surging again. A few markets in Maharashtra, Andhra, Tamil Nadu reported prices touching 100 rupees a kg. And in our ongoing series, What's Ailing Rural India, Santegora reports that with extensive crop damage due to adverse weather conditions, the pain may be just starting for both the consumer and for farmers. Take a look.
46-year-old Ganesh Gavde from Yedgaon village in Maharashtra's Pune district is in a fix. The tomatoes he sowed on his 6-acre farm have suffered extensive damage. Gavde says it's the worst he's seen in his over 30 years growing the crop, and he doesn't know how much of the 12 lakh rupees he spent on cultivating the crop will be recovered.
6 एकड़ में टमाटर लगा है, लेकिन गर्मी की वजह से वो पेड़ नहीं बन रहा है, इसलिए उसका खर्चा ये साल तो नहीं निकलने वाला है।
Gowde is just one of thousands of farmers in the region who say their summer tomato crop, which is usually sown between late March and early April, may be a complete write-off.
टेम्परेचर की वजह से प्रोडक्शन 50% भी नहीं मिला।
क्या हुआ अभी वो हीट की वजह से कुछ माल कम निकल रहा है।
माल ही नहीं आ रहा मंडी में, इसका मतलब है कि उत्पादन ही कम हो गए।
What's hurting more is that this is the second year in a row that crop damage has caused a serious shortage of tomatoes. Last year, the Kharif crop took a hit due to heavy rains that led to flooding in northern belts and fungal diseases and insect infestations in the southern cultivational areas. This year too, adverse weather conditions have hurt the summer tomato crop, which accounts for 18% of total annual production.
In May, we had scattered rainfall, and all of this led to infestation of thrips, specifically in Karnataka and Maharashtra, and that's what has led to this decline in productivity. If you look at the arrivals in June, they are 40% lower on year.
Experts say that the situation is dire because India is the second largest producer of tomatoes in the world and most of the produce is consumed domestically. This shortage has already sent tomato prices surging once again. In a few markets in states including Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, prices have hit 100 rupees per kilogram.
Usually a fresh harvest of Kharif tomatoes hits the markets by late July or early August. This mitigates the rise in tomato prices that usually accompanies the monsoon. However, that's not the case this year because the delay in the monsoon's progression has led to a delay in the sowing of Kharif crops including tomatoes. Add to the fact that much of the summer crop was destroyed by intense heat and the much needed respite in the tomato prices is likely to be delayed. Worse, the prices could increase further in the short term. In Narayangaon, with camera person Swapnil Bandekar, this is Santya for CNBC-TV18.
Well, that's the latest on our edition, What's Ailing Rural India. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. As always, many thanks for watching. Do stay tuned to CNBC-TV18. We're right back with you after this very short break. The news will continue.